Recording in progress.
I hope this particular suggestion will help the employers and employees going forward. One more thing which is coming in my mind this time, that we're hearing a lot about the SaaS nowadays. So it is the booming and the promising industry, but still many people are not aware about it. So if you can throw some light on this, that would help us.
Very interesting. So first of all, we need to understand why there was the need for SaaS, or what is SaaS, first of all. So SaaS stands for software as a service. So as the name suggests, so in past, what was happening is that if there is an organization and they want to have a process, they used to develop certain software to run that particular process. But developing that particular software, and obviously they have to host that in their own servers. So, it was a cost. And obviously another important cost as far as SaaS is concerned is maintenance. So, you have server cost, as well as there will be certain upgrades in terms of technology, in terms of features. So what has happened that, first there were software. So when there was a boom in software industry, similarly, the cost also went up. And, there was a need wherein smaller organizations have processes and they can manage their operations, run their operations. So instead of owning a software, it became like renting a service, or, renting a software, so for example, there is a single product which is used by thousands of organizations, and the data is safely stored in cloud space. So this became software as a service. Software as a service has, a lot of advantages for the organization. The first advantage is, of course, the cost advantage. Since you are not developing that particular product, so your manpower, your, developers are not involved in development of that product. You are just renting it out. So the first is your manpower cost is saved. Second, and very important part is that, that particular company which is giving SaaS product has to continuously upgrade that product in terms of features, in terms of functionalities. So again, you do not incur any extra cost when those upgradations happen. And of course, in scenarios where you could not afford a particular product, you have subscriptions model for a tenure as small as monthly subscription. So let's say, for instance, you bought a SaaS product and you ran it for 3 months and you saw that there is no viability, or that product is not serving the purpose. You can discontinue the product, but that cannot happen if you have invested heavily on developing that product in-house. So that is the reason why, the SaaS industry is booming. And, there are players like Salesforce. There are players in India. There are players like Zoho. Just now you would have heard the news that Zoho has already crossed 1 billion in terms of annual revenue. That's a big achievement for any SaaS company from India. So yes, software as a service is here to stay. And it is going to give more and more benefits to the corporates, whether it is a big corporate, whether it is a small corporate, or it's a mid-size company. It is going to benefit all.
Yeah, that's true. And it is going to be cost effective also. So that is helpful. So organization, if you could suggest us something.
Yeah. So there are a lot of tools available. There are a lot of softwares available which are helping organization have a robust communication. They can enhance the organization's communication. And first of all, we need to understand that right now it is the age of information technology. So imagine an organization, having communication gaps within themselves. Forget about, having with their clients or having with their, stakeholders. So in that scenario, if I might say, that there are so many tools available, there are so many software available for internal communication, but one software which I have a personal liking is Slack. Now you might ask that why Slack, why not any other software? So I have few we had an experience of using Slack for some time in our organization, and what we have seen is that in communication, the first and foremost thing what I feel is that, there are a lot of mails, a lot of mail communication happening even within departments, within organization. So Slack takes away that, dependence of the mail for internal communication as such. So if, let's say, for instance, you have different departments, you can create groups, you can create channels, and for every, so you can also have situational channels. So to give you an example, let us say what happens a lot of time that, a particular department has all the members in a particular channel, and then there are stakeholders who might be useful. To give you an example, let's say there is a customer success department, and in customer success department, there are few people from sales department also who are added, who continuously give input and feedback to customer success department. So this particular software eases the whole communication within the organization. And then another thing is that, when the whole communication is flowing, whether it is communication coming from the top or the communication, so there are, we say from top to bottom approach, and then there is a bottoms up approach in terms of communication. Both the ways, Slack is very, very easy. Second thing, when we talk about communication within the organization, it is also, the sharing of, certain data or the sharing of certain files. Slack makes it very effortless, whether you are sharing a file among the colleagues, or, there has to be some level of collaboration. So right now, you also know that, technology has really enabled the whole collaboration. It has made collaboration very easy for the organization. So in that case also, let's say if 3-4 team members are working on a particular project, at least they can have a continuous flow of information among themselves with the help of Slack. And, the collaboration is very seamless. So I think there also, Slack plays a major role. One very strong feature, or I would say one very strong process of Slack is that, they have beautifully automated the complete onboarding. So what I mean by onboarding, let's say, for instance, you are a totally novice user, you are a totally new user, and, you just sign up to Slack. You should see how beautifully that product, prompts you for certain activities, whether you communicating within the team, whether sharing some information. So it kinds of, onboards that, in marketing parlance, we say product-led growth. So if you look at Slack in totality, you will find that, the onboarding process is simply amazing, and it is so easy to use. So I think, as far as internal communication is concerned, Slack is a very strong tool. I'm not saying there are not other tools also, but whatever experience we had, we are very happy with the product. And that is somehow enhancing the communication within the organization. And somehow the communication directly reflect towards the productivity of the organization. So the more robust the communication is, the more productive the organization is. So I think that is where the Slack has helped us a lot.
Yeah, so wonderful insights. So actually, the flow of information is very important for any organization. So if it is contributing, that tool is contributing there, so it is very helpful. So further, we would like to know that as you are the Chief Revenue Officer at We360.ai, so we would like to know how important it is for organization to focus on the revenue part. And do we have any SaaS tool which can increase the revenue of the organization?
This is very pertinent question, especially in current scenario. If you look at current scenario right now, I'll give you an example. There were so much of talk. Just go 1 year back, and every day you used to get a news that a certain organization has become unicorn, and certain startup has become unicorn. Now, that unicorn status was primarily driven by the valuation of that particular organization or that particular startup. So let's say, for instance, if a startup gets a funding at a very high valuation, obviously over a period of time, they were converting to unicorn. But what led to the downfall of many such organizations who were running totally behind the valuation game was that they were not focusing on the revenue part. Actually, revenue is you would say revenue is the lifeblood of any organization. So you can run to a certain extent based on, artificial support. But if you want to really have a stronghold and, have a very stable organization, you have to focus on revenue. And that is what we have been doing at We360.ai. We are highly revenue-driven organization, and we make sure that every employee, irrespective, we do not say that only sales people have to bring in revenue. Every organization, every employee in our organization owns the responsibility of revenue. So it is very, very critical that organization need to have a robust revenue. Recent very good example I would quote is Zoho. It has 1 billion in terms of revenue for a year. That is something that shows the stability of an organization, and how fast they can grow. So now that is foregone conclusion that I don't know, I am not an expert. There are very big people available in startup. I am just a novice as far as startup funding is concerned, or running a startup is concerned. But I, as a layman, understand that a business can run only on basic fundamentals, and revenue is one of them. So organizations have to go after revenue if they want to survive. And I would say that in the long run, only those organizations which are revenue focused, which are customer obsessed, who ensure that their customer also grows and gets into growth trajectory after using their product or services, only those organizations are going to thrive. But those organizations who are just playing the valuation game, I do not see much of future. That is my personal view. Now, coming to certain SaaS tool. So one tool or one software which is very, very critical for revenue of any organization is the CRM, that is customer relationship management software. And believe me, in SaaS, there are thousands of CRMs, and there are CRMs, if you want to search for a CRM, sometimes you get confused because everybody's offering is such an, they have amazing offerings and all. But if you ask me my personal favorite, I have used, so over a period of time, I got a chance to use Salesforce, I used Pipedrive, I used Zoho. But one CRM which I'm very, very comfortable with, and I talk a lot, is HubSpot, because HubSpot as a CRM has helped us a lot streamline. So HubSpot has all the three functionalities. So it is having a service hub, it is having a marketing hub, and it is having a sales hub. So as an organization, and as a CRO who is managing all these three verticals for my company, sales, marketing, and customer success, it becomes very easy for me, to look at what is happening. And imagine, CRM is I look at CRM that, it is the reflection of activity of any of my person in these departments. So I generally tell my team also that, let me see through CRM what you are doing, rather than you coming to me and telling me that, what you are doing. Because I think if you feed in data well, you get very good clear-cut pictures. So whether it is your pipeline, whether how well your customers are managed, like, HubSpot has a very interesting ticketing management system. So we can manage the tickets, all the, customer issues which come to us. We can comfortably manage those tickets. And not only that, we can also see that after the ticket has been addressed, what is the feedback of the customer. So we have surveys wherein the customer, tells us that, how he or she felt after, the issue was taken care. So I think I can go on talking about HubSpot, but it is my personal favorite. But yes, it is.
Yeah, we can understand, and we can understand through your experience. You have a lot of things to suggest us. Moving further, I would like to know about the one very important aspect of any organization, that is the productivity. So if organizations wants to grow, their employee has to be productive. So if you can tell us how important it is, and if you can tell us about We360.ai and how it is helping the organizations to improve the productivity, that would definitely help us.
So you asked something which is very close to my heart. So first of all, let me tell you what is We360.ai. So We360.ai is a workforce analytics software, and it helps the organization to engage, manage productivity of employees. What is happening in the organization. I will talk about few use cases of V360.ai. I think that will make things clearer. That exactly what we do. So I'll give you a use case. Let's say right now we are talking too much about recession, downsizing, organizations firing employees. But if we may ask, one of the reason could be overhiring. That we have hired more people than we really want. So V360.ai has that kind of analytics for the clients, where clients get to know that, whether they have optimum manpower, or they need to hire certain manpower for certain roles, or they have, they have already hired too many people and now they have to either look for some role for those people, or they have to look at downsizing. So this is helping many of our clients, to manage or balance their workforce. Another very interesting feature of V360.ai is our, through V360.ai, you can see the working patterns of your employees. Like all the organization, many of the organization, I talk to a lot of founders, and I get this one question that I have very sincere employees, and they are very hardworking, but there are so many distractions, continuously phones coming in, or they are working on their laptop and desktop, and automatically some pop-up comes in and they get diverted. So employee diversion is eating away a lot of quality time of both employer as well as employee. For employer, it is loss of productivity, and for employee, it might be loss of growth opportunity, because obviously if he is less productive, if he or she is producing less results, there won't be that kind of growth what we all dream for. So we have features wherein employer can see the working pattern of the employees and see who are the employees who are working in a very focused manner, and who are the employees who are very haphazard in their way of working. And then hand holding can be done, guidance can be done. So this is another feature which is very close to my heart. Now, most important is the productivity part. As you understand that, the employee preferences are changing. So what is happening nowadays is that, employees are coming to organizations and saying that, look, I need flexibility to work from anywhere. So let me work from home, let me work from, any hybrid model, or let me work from any remote location. And the concern with managers and organization is that if we allow the person to work from anywhere, there might be loss of productivity. So what V360.ai is doing, V360.ai is building that trust between employee as well as employer. So employee is confident that, okay, if I'm using V360.ai, I need not prove to employer that I am really putting in my efforts. Similarly, from the employer side, if they have implemented V360.ai, they know that, their employees are efficiently working on the task and the projects which are given to them. So that these are the few things of V360.ai, and in a very short span of time, with our fabulous team, we have an amazing set of people with us. We have grown to almost 1,000 clients, and we are growing every month. We are adding 60, 70, 80 companies, and and the organizations are really loving us for what we are doing for their growth and productivity.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And this particular tool is actually, the software is actually helping many organizations across the globe. So the forum is open for taking up the questions. So meanwhile, I'm reading one question. So many people are just skeptical about where my data is going.
Mm-hmm.
So can you throw some light on that? Because it says on the SaaS based tool, so data is basically it is not in their hand, so they are quite skeptical about that.
Very true. So what happens, Archana, that if you look at SaaS, we understand that the data is fragmented. So let's say, for instance, in a cloud, data of so many different companies is there. So that way, data protection data protection policy becomes very, very critical element for any SaaS organizations. And, they are very, very careful in terms of the data, because understand one pinch of, distrust from our client, or, feeling from our client that, that the data is not safe, can, this whole edifice of SaaS could collapse. So most of the SaaS companies are very, very concerned when it comes to data privacy and data protection. And there are so many things like, there are so many data protection laws or data protection policies. To give you an example, first of all, three big players in cloud space. One is AWS, you have Google, and you have Microsoft Azure. So these three big players, first of all, as their whole business model lies on the data protection, because whatever data is there in their custody, they have to protect it. So they have checks and balances in place, like end-to-end encryption of the data and so many other things. Similarly, there are a lot of certifications. So let's say, for instance, if you want to run a SaaS business in Europe, you need to be a GDPR compliant. If you're not a GDPR compliant company, you cannot run your business in Europe. Similarly, there are SOC 2 compliances, which are very, very critical and stringent. Then we have VAPT certification, wherein, there is a vulnerability assessment, and, how strong the software is, and, is there a possibility, or is there a vulnerability? And then there are ISO 27000 certifications. So what I would say is, most of the SaaS players, the first thing when they build the product and they will build the complete infrastructure, they keep in mind that they have to have a very, very strong data protection policy in place.
Thank you so much. This will clarify the doubts among the people who are with us. So, if anybody has any question, they can come up, they can unmute themselves, and they can ask the questions if there is any. Meanwhile, if we can talk further about the SaaS tools and how they are helping us, would help. Would build the understanding for them.
So first of all, I would ask all those who are present here that they should look for SaaS tools, like as I mentioned there, like Slack, or like HubSpot, like any other CRM tool like ours, if you want to look at the productivity side of your business. And the best part is, most of these SaaS players also have trials. So if you want to just if you are skeptical about how the whole tool is going to work, there are trials available which can be taken, and then you can be comfortable that okay, this tool is really useful for us. So those most of them give free trials also to the client, so that client can feel comfortable before taking a final decision.
Yeah, that is helpful.
You are on mute, Dr. Achin.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, it will help them. I mean, people can have a trial, then they can choose as per the organization fit. So thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful insights. So this webinar will surely help not only the organization, but the employees who are working at the various levels in the various organizations. So thank you everyone for joining us. Stay tuned. We will come up with a lot of more informative sessions for you in the series. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Thanks for your time, and thanks for everybody for coming to this webinar. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Recording stop.